Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing I want to talk to you about today is the relationship between political representatives and those they represent. And to have this discussion concretely, I want to give you the example of a town council meeting where the public, the residents of a particular town, get to address their town council and their mayor. And so the first thing I want to say about this is, what is the job of a political representative? Whether the political representative is a town council member, a mayor, or the president of the United States, or somebody who works for the president of the United States, for that matter. The job, in my opinion, is to protect the citizens and to make sure that they are being properly protected and to make sure that they're maintaining a very close, transparent relationship with each other at all times. That any time a member of the public feels that their rights have been violated, that they can easily and comfortably bring this up to their representative. Again, whether it's the president or a town council member, doesn't matter. Even a member of the United Nations. But getting back to a town council meeting, the reason I bring up a town council meeting is because, unlike federal and state government, local government does not get discussed as much, and it needs to, because since is a better word than because in this case, since local government is discussed less than federal and state government, it is therefore a greater opportunity, there's a greater opportunity for abuse to take place. That's why I'm highlighting this example. So at a town council meeting, at least the way it is conducted where I live, in East Windsor, New Jersey, typically the public gets two chances to communicate publicly, and again in these meetings, with their representatives, town council members and a mayor. This is a beautiful time, in my opinion, ideally. Unfortunately, there are instances where the public is discouraged from expressing themselves and addressing their concerns to their town council members and their mayor. This is specifically the case in East Windsor, where I live. And I want to tell you a little bit about it, and I want to make sure it's not happening in your town. Because if it is, this country is in more trouble than we realize, because we've got more than a federal government and we've got more than state governments to deal with. We've also got school boards and county governments, but then there are municipal governments. Getting now to the town council meeting, I want to talk to you a little bit about the town council meeting I had tonight, and I'll do so as briefly as possible. Essentially, I have fundamental disagreements with everybody on the town council where I live in East Windsor. They are Democrats. I honestly don't even like the word Democrat. I think that they are fascists. And I want to tell you why I think they are fascists, because the word fascist is a very strong word, and I understand that it's a strong word. What is fascism? In a nutshell, fascism is a system of government in which the government itself has a facade, a visage, an appearance, if you will, of private companies. But despite the appearance of these private companies, these private companies don't operate privately. They are controlled by the government, which means overall the economy is controlled by the government. Now this differs from something like socialism or communism, because in a socialist or communist system, you've got systems where it's more blatantly community owned or publicly owned. It's out there that the public owns and runs these things. Again, whereas in a fascist system, the government is running it, but it's pretending or saying to us that these private companies are running themselves. Now, there's a second side to fascism, and that is because the government is running private companies, it's also essentially running the economy and running the country through tyrannical means. Now, we haven't, in the United States of America, gotten to a point where pure tyranny exists, in that you're allowed to disagree, even though it's suppressed through means of intimidation, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second. We're not a fascist country yet, but we are teetering on the edge of fascism, and the representatives that serve East Windsor, where I live, on the town council, and the mayor included, are very close to fascists, which is a point that I made this evening, and I want to explain just a little bit more clearly why I'm specifically making that charge. So, I had some disagreements with the town council tonight, and one of the biggest disagreements was suppression of public comment. I told you that I believe that public comment was a very important part of a town council meeting, or any public meeting in which the public gets to, in a public forum, discuss issues with the representatives. I want to give you just briefly a little bit of context. I live in a township where there were only 3 people from the public who even attended the town council meeting this evening. And all 3 of us were political candidates, which means we didn't even have anybody within the community who isn't politically active seeking a political position, right? So that's how intensely the public is not there. They have only a few of their representatives, or people vying to represent them, wanting to represent them. So I go on to say that I don't think that there should be time limits imposed on people in the public, especially when really almost nobody from the public shows up. And I explain, and I say that I understand that there's going to be disagreements between the public and the members of the town council, but that the public must never say, oh, okay, we disagree, I'm just going to let it be. And unfortunately, the mayor of East Windsor, is my township, Mayor Janice Mirnoff, said to me that I needed to just accept the fact that we disagreed, as if somehow I'm supposed to think in my mind, okay, we disagree, I'm supposed to let the issue go. Now, this teeters on the edge of fascism when I sit there and say to her, I'm not going to just accept our disagreements, I'm going to challenge our disagreements, because as I attempted to challenge our disagreements and I explained to her how in a fascist system, the way that it works is you try to suppress anybody who disagrees. What did they do? They actually tried to suppress my disagreement by speaking over me. And it's on record. You can watch the video. It's part of the September 3rd East Windsor Town Council meeting, part 2. You can watch that. Please do. And please share it with all of your friends. Because, again, this is the beginning stage of American fascism, in which, although no violence, there was no violence that attempted to stop me from speaking, there was every, let's say, peaceful means that the mayor and the town council could think of to drown out everything that I was saying. And that's just step 1. What happens if they take it further? Ask that again. What happens if they take it further? Then we enter into a realm in which there is fascism and tyranny. In our country, America, a country that is supposed to be the very opposite. This, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, our way of life is being threatened. And there's one thing going on the federal level, and I'm not even going to go there today. And then there's another on the state level. And then it's happening again on the local level of government as well. And that's the part, those are the people who can get away with it most often, because that's where the least amount of eyes are looking. And I urge you to look at local government as much as county government, school board, state government, and federal government, and I urge you to spread this particular message that I'm presenting to you this evening. So now I have some good news to share with you, and now that I got some of the bad news out. Officially, the DeZarn and O'Connor palm cards are in. I want to give you a look at it. I'm very proud of these. This is beautifully done, and I want to give a special thanks to the lady who put this together for us, and to Don for footing the bill, because I don't have the money at this time to do so. Give you a look. Make sure you have some of these to give to your friends, family, your neighbors, your coworkers. Get in touch with me. I will make sure you have them. Briefly, I want to talk about the difference between the palm cards of all of the candidates in this election for state legislature in the 14th district. So first, I want to show you the Democrats, because they're the incumbents. Okay, so here you go. You got a nice little message on our side. Excuse me, I'm not a fan of the picture. Personally, the reason I'm not a fan of the picture is because it looks arrogant and bubbly, but maybe that's just because I'm running against them. That's superficial, maybe. So let's not be superficial and let's get deep. Here's what they write on their palm card. You've got independence, you've got affordability, you've got jobs, and you've got ethics. All very ironic. First of all, no actual policies whatsoever. No policy proposals in any of this, and you can take a look at it for yourself, and you'll see that there are none. Not to mention, no highlighted emphasis of the #1 problem plaguing the state of New Jersey, which is property tax, and we all know it. Interesting that it's not here. Just saying. Also very interesting. One of the, I think, the great things about the Democratic Party is that they value things like public education, or at least they used to. Look, no emphasis on improving our public education whatsoever. I want to point that out to you. Now let's look at the Republican palm card. Actually, technically, it's more like a brochure. Fine. Okay, first I'm going to be really superficial. In my opinion, if from a solely superficial perspective, looks like a bunch of snobby country club guys. Out of touch with reality. That's my view, and that's probably merely because I'm thinking about their policies, but just trying to think superficially or on the surface, just by looking at an image. But hey, their platform. Now, I gotta hand it to them. They beat the Democrats in that they mention property taxes. But what do they say about property taxes? What specifics do they offer in terms of, what do you mean property taxes? What about property taxes? Well, here's what it says. The Inverso team, Peter Inverso is a senator running, and the Assemblyman Ronald Haas and Steve Cook. Property taxes. The Inverso team is committed to reducing spending and the cost of government so that property taxes are lowered for everybody. Families in the 14th District need strong leaders who fight for reforms we need to make New Jersey more affordable. Okay, what kind of reduced spending are you proposing? None. What cost of government are you proposing? None. How about the fact that which government spending creates property taxes? Local government. Municipal, school board, and county governments. What have you to say about local, school board, and county governments versus state government? Nothing whatsoever. What have you to say, what have you to say, Republican candidates, about the education standards which are driving the property taxes higher than anything else? Oh, nothing. So here you've got three guys who have essentially said nothing about something. Jobs. The Inverso team understands the importance of having a business-friendly state, reducing government bureaucracy, providing tax incentives, and aggressive outreach are key factors in New Jersey's success at creating jobs. What government bureaucracy are you going to cut? No comment. What tax incentives? Tax credits? If you watch one of my recent videos about that, I explain why tax credits and tax incentives are unfair. Because you're sitting there giving favors to some people, but not to everybody, which just comes across as special interest, fascist-leaning government. By the way, no comment on how Obamacare is hurting jobs. No comment on property taxes and how that's hurting jobs. Just saying. And although they use the words healthcare and education, they make absolutely no reference to the healthcare system that we are all subject to, which is Obamacare, nor the education standards that we're all subject to, which is Common Core. So in other words, you've got a very vague, ambiguous commentary on this side of the brochure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, since you've been so kind to bear with me here, I want to show you the palm card that Don DeZarn and I have for you. Just looking at the picture, I'm not going to be superficial. I'm going to go right to the platform. You'll note that our